We hear that they're keeping the birth certificate secret. Now, I'm not that bothered about seeing the birth certificate, but you sort of think, well, why would you keep it secret?
Meghan didn't want to do what Kate had done. She didn't want to come out, within hours of giving birth or the day after, with full hair and makeup.
Here's the thing. Nobody at the palace wants to say out loud. Something about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's children just doesn't add up. And no, this isn't some throwaway tabloid rumor or petty royal gossip. This is about official documents, birth records that don't follow the rules, and a string of odd choices that paint a far stranger picture than the royal PR machine wants you to see. Whispers of a secret DNA test are spreading like wildfire, and insiders say the result could blow her entire royal fairy tale to pieces. According to palace leaks, Harry, the prince who walked away from the crown for love, may not even be the real father of the child at the center of Meghan's tightly controlled narrative. It started with a single rumor, a quiet test meant to silence old questions about missing names, strange birth certificates, and the one detail no royal PR team wants the world to see. But when that hush-hush test didn't line up with the story Meghan sold for years, the meltdown began. Now the palace is in lockdown mode, ex-friends are dropping hints, and Harry's trust in Meghan is hanging by a thread. Every hidden document, every suspicious edit, every timeline hole, it's all snapping into focus. And if the DNA twist is true, the secret Meghan tried so hard to bury might just turn the world's most famous love story into the biggest royal betrayal yet.
The certificate shows the mother as Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, and shows her job as Princess of the United Kingdom.
It all begins with Archie, the royal baby who was supposed to anchor Harry and Meghan's fresh start away from palace drama. But right there, on the very first piece of paperwork meant to mark his place in the royal line, something was already off. In the UK, royal birth certificates follow a strict format. They include the mother's full legal name, no matter how grand the title. From Queen Elizabeth down to Princess Charlotte, it's the same every time. Title and full name, side by side. But for Archie, Meghan broke the pattern. Instead of listing Rachel Meghan Markle, her full legal name, the certificate simply called her Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. That's it. No maiden name, no personal identity, just a title. 11 days later, it got stranger. The record wasn't updated, it was corrected. That single word, corrected, is royal speak for something about this was so wrong it needed a legal fix. But they never explained why. Some brushed it off as vanity. Maybe Meghan thought her title sounded more regal, but people who watched the royals closely saw a red flag. Because erasing your legal identity on your own child's record isn't normal. It's unprecedented. And it planted the first seed of doubt. Why hide the name that makes you the mother at all? But if you think that's strange, wait until you see how it connects to Lilibet. Because Archie's missing name was just the opening move in a paperwork puzzle no royal watcher has managed to solve.
That she gave birth to them, and she has quite deliberately caused doubt, and she has created mischief, knowing that it would damage the royal family, which would show a level of spite and malice that is truly not only sick, but evil.
If Archie's birth certificate raised eyebrows, Lilibet's paperwork practically set off alarm bells. On the surface, it looked simple. The daughter born in sunny California, the perfect symbol of Harry and Meghan's new American dream. But dig a layer deeper, and things get murky. Fast. First, there's the location rumor nobody can quite shake. While the press headlines say California, quiet whispers point to Colorado, a state that just so happens to have looser surrogacy laws than California. Unlike California, Colorado makes it easier to keep a surrogate's name off official records and to assign full parental rights directly to the intended parents. If you're trying to hide the true circumstances behind a birth, Colorado's the place to do it. Then comes the line that throws everything off: Harry's name. Or, more accurately, his lack of a name. Instead of listing Henry Charles Albert David, Harry's legal name, Lilibet's birth document reportedly just says His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex. That might sound fancy, but in the eyes of US law, it's basically worthless. American birth certificates are legal blueprints for identity, citizenship, and parental rights. Titles mean nothing at the DMV or a passport office. They want what's on your ID, not what's in a royal press release. If Harry's actual name isn't there, his legal connection to Lilibet could be paper thin or non-existent. And if you think that was an accident, consider this. Meghan didn't make the same move she did with Archie. Her full legal name stayed on Lilibet's document. No edits, no correction 11 days later. One child with no mother named, the other with no father named properly. It feels less like a royal slip-up and more like a carefully scripted loophole hiding in plain sight. And the next piece of this puzzle, it only gets stranger when you meet the woman whose name never appears at all. This is where the whole saga flips from legal quirk to full-blown royal mystery. For years, rumors have whispered that Meghan might not have carried Lilibet herself. At the center of this chatter is an unnamed 23-year-old woman from Colorado, the supposed surrogate whose face the world has never seen. People close to the situation say the timeline lines up a little too neatly. Reports suggest this young woman gave birth in Colorado in early June 2021, days before Lilibet's official birth date. She allegedly signed airtight NDAs, then vanished from the spotlight without so much as a leaked photo or a slip on social media. It's the perfect arrangement if you want questions buried for good. Colorado law makes it remarkably easy to keep a surrogate completely anonymous. Unlike California, where the surrogate's name usually appears on the original birth record before legal reassignment, Colorado allows parental rights to transfer quietly, with no public trace. So if Meghan and Harry did use a surrogate in Colorado, the paperwork would be designed to make it look like they didn't. And if you wonder why they'd keep that secret, look no further than the palace. Because an official surrogate arrangement would raise thorny questions about royal succession, inheritance, and who's really in line for the crown. But the surrogate rumor doesn't live in a vacuum. It clashes head-on with Meghan's own story. In her podcast, Meghan described suffering from postpartum preeclampsia, a serious and often dangerous complication of childbirth. She called it deadly, painting a picture of a fragile new mother recovering from a near-fatal ordeal. But if that were true, her actions didn't match the drama. Just weeks after Lilibet's birth, Meghan was spotted out and about. No obvious signs of recovery, no medical precautions, no prolonged bed rest. Meanwhile, Harry wasn't exactly playing the role of worried husband either. He was photographed swinging polo mallets in Aspen, smiling wide for the cameras like nothing was wrong at all. Would a man whose wife nearly died giving birth really be yucking it up at a polo match in Colorado? The same state where the alleged surrogate gave birth, no less? The optics don't line up. Instead, they hint at a carefully staged narrative, one that talks about life-threatening complications while showing a life that looks suspiciously normal. And if Meghan wasn't actually recovering from childbirth, then who was? The surrogate rumor starts to sound less like gossip and more like the missing piece that makes every other contradiction click into place. Here's where it all snaps into focus, and the stakes skyrocket. If Harry's legal name really isn't on Lilibet's birth certificate, then by US law he might not exist as her father at all. In America, titles mean nothing in court. A duke can't show up at a passport office or a custody hearing and expect to claim a child with fancy words alone. It has to be his legal identity, his actual name on the paper. Or he has no standing. Combine that with the old whispers about Harry's fertility struggles, the ones that say a childhood hernia surgery might have complicated things, and you have a scenario that looks less like a royal fumble and more like a deliberate move. Because if there's no biological link and no legal link, then Harry has no ground to stand on in a custody battle. If his marriage to Meghan ever implodes, he can't claim parental rights. She holds all the cards, full legal mother on paper, possible biological tie, and Harry left out in the cold by his own missing name. It sounds cold, but when you line up every omission, every correction, and every hidden document, it starts to look like the ultimate insurance policy. If this house of cards ever collapses, only one parent is legally protected, and it isn't the prince who gave up his kingdom for this so-called fairy tale. If you think all this is wild, buckle up, because this is where the whispers get explosive. For years, behind palace doors, one rumor about Harry refuses to die. The childhood hernia surgery that allegedly affected his fertility. It's never been confirmed. The palace won't touch it. But insiders claim the complication could have made it hard, or even impossible, for him to father children naturally. On its own, it might sound like cheap gossip. But stack it next to the missing legal name, the Colorado surrogate talk, and Meghan's carefully controlled image. and it doesn't feel so far-fetched. If Harry couldn't biologically father Lilibet and his legal name is missing, Meghan holds every card. Add in that perfectly timed miscarriage in 2020, just months before Lilibet's birth, and that Beverly Hills clinic visit where she was spotted carrying a discreet pouch for retrieved eggs. The rumor says Meghan used a donor, kept the eggs hers, and chose a Colorado surrogate to carry the pregnancy. The result? A child fully hers, but not Harry's, with paperwork that locks him out for good. It's rumor mixed with puzzle pieces, but each detail lines up too neatly to ignore. And if you want proof of the tension, just watch how Meghan treats her 2 kids in public. Royal watchers say the difference is there, hiding in plain sight. With Lilibet, Meghan beams and cradles her like a crown jewel. With Archie, she often seems distant, almost detached, like he's presented more for tradition than pride. Some say it's reading too much into staged moments, but look closer, the pattern sticks. In interviews, Meghan gushes about Lilibet as her mini-me, the sweet girl carrying her legacy. Archie, meanwhile, feels like a quiet footnote, spoken about in the past tense, a chapter carefully edited. If Lilibet is fully hers, biologically and legally, that bond makes sense. And if Archie's birth certificate, the one that scrubs Meghan's name, hints he might not be, that difference makes sense too. It's uncomfortable. But it explains why Meghan guards Lilibet like the one piece of her narrative no one can ever take. Not even Harry, if the day comes when he's no longer part of her story. If the paperwork wasn't messy enough, the timeline adds a twist straight out of a soap opera. Meghan often spoke about her miscarriage in July 2020, a story that drew waves of sympathy. But sharp-eyed watchers noticed something odd. Not long after, Meghan was photographed visiting what she called a dental clinic in Beverly Hills. But that same address is known for discreet, high-end fertility services for Hollywood's elite. Photos showed her carrying what looked like a cold pack for protecting retrieved eggs. A miscarriage, then a fertility visit, then a rumored surrogate birth in Colorado. If true, it looks like a carefully planned backup plan. Then there's the so-called birth video, soft-lit footage of Lilibet's first moments. But people familiar with hospital rules during that stage of the pandemic noticed the obvious. No masks, no visitor limits, nothing matching the strict protocols at the time. The whole clip looked more staged than real. Every piece, the miscarriage, the quiet clinic visit, the polished video, feels choreographed to keep the guessing game alive. And each time one thread unravels, another contradiction appears. All of this might sound like palace gossip, but the stakes go way beyond headlines. Birth certificates aren't just keepsakes, they decide citizenship, parental rights, inheritance, even who stands in line for a throne that still matters to millions. If Archie's paperwork is off, if Lilibet's real certificate never lines up, and if Harry's legal claim to his own daughter is weak, this isn't just family drama. It's a quiet time bomb under the world's most famous royal brand. If the truth comes out, whatever it is, it could rewrite who inherits titles, who gets royal security, and who really counts as a Windsor when the crown changes hands. For now, the palace stays silent. Meghan smiles for the cameras. Harry swings his polo mallet like nothing's wrong. But behind the scenes, one missing signature could blow it all apart. So next time you see that polished family portrait, remember, the real story might not be the smiles, but the names left off the page. At the end of the day, this isn't just petty gossip. It's about how a single document can shape a legacy, rewrite a bloodline, and decide who really holds the keys to the crown. Maybe it's all just innocent mistakes, typos, crossed wires, palace spin. Or maybe it's a plan to make sure that when the dust settles, only one name, Meghan's, stays legally untouchable. Whatever the truth is, the questions aren't going away. The paperwork gaps, the strange timeline, the surrogate whispers. They all add up to a story bigger than any headline the palace wants you to see. So what do you think? Is this just royal red tape, or the biggest cover-up since Edward VIII gave up the throne? Drop your theory below. Conspiracy or coincidence? And if you want more untold stories the royals wish would stay buried, hit like, subscribe, and tap that bell. Because when the truth finally leaks, you'll want to say you heard it here first.